Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today is day 7, and we are going to speed up things a little bit. We're going to look at inheritance and polymorphism in Python. I know from your background in Java programming, you've also studied or you have looked at inheritance and polymorphism. And this is a simple concept. It's not so complex. And I want you also to know that when you're looking at inheritance and polymorphism, there are key concepts that we need to consider, especially when we talk about inheritance related to the normal way how you inherit properties from your parents. So we have what we call the parent class and the child class. Sometimes we refer the parent class as the base class, and then the child class, we refer it as the derived class. Allow me complete some 2 modules today. We're going to look at inheritance and polymorphism. And then we're also going to look at reading and writing files using CSV files and JSON files and XML file processing. We will look at that today. The first 1 hour is going to be about inheritance and polymorphism. I was trying to move slowly so that you guys pick up my ways of how I do lecturing and I conduct my trainings and mentorship. Today, I will not have any sessions for mentorship. We're going to go 1 hour, the first bit of it, of inheritance and polymorphism. And then the second hour, the top hour of our 2 hours will be reading and writing files. Then on Friday, I'm going to start data science, which I believe Livingston has started. But just to make sure that you guys have double checked everything that is in the module outline that I sent, the PDF file I sent earlier. And I hope you have understood everything. I don't want to rush you because the most interesting part starts on Friday. I just want you to get the glimpse on Friday. And then next week, we complete data science, we complete machine learning. Then we go straight to web development with Django and Flask. And we give you your project. You start working on it. We have not yet completed 1 month. I don't want to be rushing when you're not picking the concept. That being said, what is inheritance by definition, if you had to look at it, okay? Now, when you look at inheritance and method, they call it method resolution or overriding. Now, what inheritance does allows a child class to inherit attributes and methods from another class. If you can have this definition, this could help you, because I know you might need this a little bit for you. So you might need this to refer to inheritance and method overriding. Allows, of course, take notes because they will help you in future. Inheritance and method overriding allows a class, and this class we can refer it to as a child class. Child class, I'm just going to use child, then later I would advance and use what we call base and derived class. For now, it is easier when we talk about a child inheriting from a parent. Inherit attributes and methods from another class. And that class is called the parent class. Okay? Now, if you can understand that inheritance is all about getting attributes of another class, that is perfect. Now, There are key concepts that you need to understand. Key concepts. Now, we will be referring as the base class. The base class, which is what? The parent class, okay? And then we're also going to refer as the derived class, which is what? The child class. So these key concepts are very important when looking at inheritance in Python. Now, let's look at some of probably the broader understanding. So basically, base class is a class whose properties are inherited by another class. Now, we also have the derived class, which is class whose properties, no, actually, this is a class that inherits. It can be attributes, and properties from another base class, which is the parent class. So these are the two classes that you need. Once you understand this, then the next thing is to look at what we call example. Could now write this outside this code, the multi-line code. Example 1, the syntax. Learn to mute. Okay. Now, I want us to look at a very simple example. Okay. Here, what I want us to do is to create a class where create a class where a dog inherits from animal and overrides with a speak method. So we're going to have a look at what we call, we're going to just have a look at its syntax in our example 1, and then we will try to see how we can implement the uses of this inheritance. Now, if you're going to write your script, you just need to, especially when you're dealing with inheritance, you need to know what is the derived class. A dog is inheriting from the animal. That means animal is going to be what? I will ask you that question. Let me write the code. So we can have the class animal, okay? And we define a method, because there's a method which we are supposed to call it what? speak self. Now we want it to return, let it return a sound like, what are some of the common sounds that animals make? Meow for a cat, eh? Meow, meow. Okay, nice. No big trouble. You could use double quote or single quote. Then, now I will ask you that question briefly. Then we will have another class where a dog is inheriting. A dog is inheriting from animal. Now we can define a speak self for the dog to return the sound of a dog. A dog just barks. Now, let's see how we can implement inheritance. Implementation of inheritance. Now, according to you, which one do you think is the best class? Which one is the best class, students? So the best class is animal, which is what? The parent class. The derived class is dog, which is the child class. Now let's look at its implementation. We implement inheritance by saying animal, we create its variable to get it from the animal. And then we can say dog from dog. Now, if we decide to print animal speak, we will get a different, if we say print animal, hopefully we have written it well. Don't want to have some, we'll write something and then do it in a different way. Print animal dot speak. Now, if you run this output, oh, because of the other thing. If you run this output, so you realize that when you print the animal, it is going to return the what? The sound that is in the what? In the base class. Now, if we print dog speak, it will print, okay, don't mind about the downer part. It will print the output which is in the derived class, dog barks. And that is how a syntax of inheritance is being written. I don't know if I can add you one more example, but for now, I want to quickly let me see if I can give you an example. I make it to you as a form of an exercise. Okay. Not just want to be sure I can. So what basically happens here is that the dog basically overrides the overrides when you try to print the dog from the speak method, it overrides the animal class. It overrides the parent class. That's why it returns the bug. Okay. I want to get for you maybe one example, but I realize that it might incorporate polymorphism. Just want to be sure it's not incorporating polymorphism. Now let's have the polymorphism, then yeah, then it is going to be easier for us to use both of them, because that is basically with what? With how you implement inheritance. Let me give you another example too. Now let's look at what? Polymorphism. Then we can have both of them and then have an example. Now let's first have polymorphism, because there's also another thing called okay. Now, at least you've understood what inheritance is all about. Inheritance is all about allowing a class to inherit attributes and methods from another class. So when you look here, this is the class, which is the superclass. Okay, sometimes you call it superclass. And it's also called the base class. So it is inheriting from the method itself to return. Now, when you look at dog class, that it is inheriting from the animal class, but here we are interested in implementing it to return the bug. Now let's look at polymorphism. It's quite different. Let me just try to. So polymorphism allows objects of different types. Okay, allows objects of different classes to be treated as object of a common superclass. You had me talking about superclass. Okay, the superclass is the same as the derived class, no, the base class. Now, and then also there's this key concept which is called method resolution. Which is MRO. Now, polymorphism allows objects of different classes to be treated as object of a common superclass. You may want to understand what polymorphism is. That is how polymorphism is being how you can understand it. We will look at it using an example. Then method resolution order is order in which Python looks for a method in a hierarchy. Hierarchy classes. So basically with method resolution order is an order in which Python looks for a method in an hierarchy classes. Now, if we use an example, we can probably understand this concept faster. So we will try to make it easier. Let's look at it using an example. Okay, so example 2. I don't know which example should be much better for you to understand this. Okay, we could still use the same concept that we looked at in the first example. Let's just say okay, how polymorphism works in Python. So we will still use the same classes that we were, the same previous example. Let's first have a class. Let's have a class. Sorry, it's switching. Let's have a class animal, because if you use the same example, it becomes easier for students to follow. So we have the class example, class animal, which is the superclass, the parent class, or the base class. We can still define the same method, and the method is what? Speak. So we will still return, let's return, we can still return our sound. Okay. Now, we are going to create a derived class, which is the child class of the superclass, which we are going to call it class dog which will extend to the superclass, or the parent class, or the base class. And then we will still define our method speak. Then it will return. This time round, we know a dog barks. Okay. Oops. Now we are going to add one more class, which is going to be the class for, let's just add another class for cat. So the cat also what? Extends to the superclass. And we can define the method speak and then return the sound of the cat is what? Meow. I don't I don't know how they write meow in the actual way, but something like that. We have this, so you need to change this sound. Which other sound can we put? Those of you are familiar with pets. You just want to make sure it is kind of different from the sound the cat makes. Now, here is where I want to show you how we can use polymorphism, which allows objects of different classes to be treated as objects of a common superclass. Now, we can define another, call it a function, and say, make animal speak, extends to animal. Okay. Then what we can do, if we want to make animals speak, then before we call that function, let's get the output of print animal, then dot method speak. Now, let me first clear off the screen. Run this. Print animal speak. It is returning. It is returning. Is this showing from the first one? I have to be sure. To be sure what is happening in the comment section. Okay, nothing is happening. So what we can do is we can call out the dog class, so that we can return the sound, or the sound from, we can make the dog speak like back. So when we say, and we can do that using, we can call out that we can call out that that derived class of dog and say, make animals speak, and then we say dog. Now, what do you think would be the output? Is it going to give the output of the superclass or the best class. So when you run this, it gives the output of the child class. So, and that is how method overriding is being done using polymorphism. So it basically allows different classes to be treated as, like now we are calling the dog class, and the dog class is appearing to be like a superclass. That is what it means in polymorphism. Even when you try to, let's call the function, make animal cat, and then we run it. Okay. It's kind of funny here. We can fix it. Okay. Okay, sorry. That is a small error. So you could see when we try to, the cat class, which is still the derived class or the child class, is still showing up as a superclass or as a parent class or the best class. That's why it is still returning it is giving out the sound of the cat. Now, that is how we treat polymorphism. Now, I want to give you an exercise which is not very difficult. This exercise, okay. Let me get for you one exercise. Just a second. Let's see how we can try to wow, it's going to be nice because I have to use an example that is okay. So what you're going to do here, it's going to be advanced, but if you can do it, that would help us. Then we shall go to abstraction. So you're going to create a simple application to manage. We will deal with cars because some of you, your parents have cars, so you're quite familiar with the car brands. So you're going to create a simple application to manage different types of vehicles. So you will implement derive class to demonstrate inheritance and polymorphism. So your requirements are it's longer. I think if you don't get it right, I'll try to do this exercise with you. Requirements. So the requirements you need, one is the base class, which is going to be vehicle. And then the attributes. Attributes are supposed to be the make, model, and year. Then the method, you're going to use display info. That's going to be the method. Now the derive class, the derived class can be car inherits from the vehicle, and additional, and the attributes are number of door. Okay, then the override will be display info. Then should we proceed and have very many of the derived classes? Can we let's deal with one, because if you have very many, I think kids are going to be confused. But since we are using polymorphism, wow, it might be very important to add. Let me add another. Okay, we have car. Let's add motorcycle, because you have the concept of polymorphism. So inherits from vehicle, and all you need here is that you need additional. You need the attributes type, of bike. Okay, is it a cruiser, sport, or touring? Then the override will be display info. Now, that is what you're going to deal with in the concept of inheritance. Now, in the exercise 2. Now you're going to create a function that accepts a list of vehicle objects. and call their display info method to print details. Yeah, to print details of each vehicle. Okay, this should be good enough for you. Oh, looks longer. It out. First. So this is taking what? Polymorphism. Okay. Guys, I can repeat it one more time. Your exercise. This will wrap up inheritance and polymorphism. Then we can look at the other last bit of it. I think it is abstraction. Let me just double check if there's something in the chat anymore. Okay. Yeah. So what you're going to do here is you're going to create a simple application to manage different types of vehicle. Implement derived class to demonstrate inheritance and polymorphism. Requirements: you have a base class to the vehicle with the attributes make, model, and year. Methods: it should display info, the information of the vehicle. Then derived class, car, which will inherit from vehicle. Then you're interested in the attributes, number of doors, 4 doors, 5 doors. Yeah, the doors of the car. Normally, when you're buying a car, you're interested in, there are normally 5 doors. 5 doors, others are 4 doors, others are 2 doors. Yeah, those are the things we see with some cars. And then for motorcycle, whether it is a cruiser, the sports, or the touring, the one for touring, then you get the display info. Please, over to you. If you get challenged, please allow me help you and do it for you. But please first try it. Try it. When you have done it, share your screen. Let me enable sharing. Now everyone can share. Then from there, we can look at the other concept, which I think should be much easier. We're going to look at, I think it's supposed to be abstraction. Yeah, we can look at abstract classes and interfaces. That's supposed to be abstraction. Abstract classes and interfaces. Okay, that's basically abstraction. Then we will be done with that. Then we can now go and look at the last bit of it is not difficult. Let's finish this part. We shall now handle the other down one. But this will help you understand this other concept. So okay. You let me know if I stop sharing my screen and you try it. Hello, students. How is it going that side?
We're working on it.
Okay. This gives you a broader understanding, by the way, of polymorphism and inheritance. Oh, there's a hand up from Serin Georgie. Please go ahead and ask your question.
I finished implementing this stuff.
Okay. Please go ahead and share your screen.
Can you see my screen?
It's smaller. Maybe if you make it a little bit wider.
Oh, sorry. How about now?
Not yet. It's in portrait. Okay. Are you trying to zoom?
Yeah.
What are you using? Are you using a phone or you're using half of your screen?
Half of my screen.
Okay.
Is it okay now?
Yeah, it's okay.
So this is the class is vehicle, and it takes its initialization method takes in a make, model, and year. So the display info method just returns the attributes, and the car class inherits from the vehicle class with its initialization methods, the make, model, year, but this time the car has number of those parameters in its initialization method. So when you want to, you should call the superclasses method the initialization, such that these attributes are also referenced from the vehicle class. But now you have to also initialize this number of those. So the display information, the display info of the vehicle class will also take in this self dot number of doors in its return statement. And also applies to the motorcycle. Motorcycle is just having the make, model, year, and type of bike. Also calls the super, because these three parameters are shared up from the from the vehicle class. So we just also add in the type of bike, and also we takes it in its display info. So here we just write a method, create a method called display vehicle info, and takes in a parameter called vehicles. So we look through this. This is a list that we are going to create. You know that this should be uniterable, the vehicles. So for vehicle, in vehicles, print vehicle.display info. So this display info will be coming from this. So such that when we initialize, when we create our list, this is just a list, but takes in classes. But these classes are also we initialize them. How do they call? We instantiate them. These are just constructors, so they take in parameters. These parameters come from here, because this car object has make, model, year, and number of doors. So the make is Toyota, and we know that the Corolla is from Toyota, and the year maybe 2019, and the number of doors are 4. So we take in another for motorcycle. Motorcycle takes in different parameters. The make, maybe Honda CBR, and year is 2020, and the type of bike we took from cruiser sport and touring, we just selected a sport. So now we call this display vehicle info, and we take in the list. So when we try to print out, so this is it, Toyota Corolla 2019. It's from the car class, and the Honda CBR 2020, the sport, is from the motorcycle class.
Yeah, thank you. I think that is it. Is there any other person who wants to show us a different way? Or, yeah. Is there any other person?
No, no other person.
That's being unfriendly. Allow people to share. Let's give an opportunity. We have 1 hour. The other part is smaller. Reading and writing file is a little bit smaller. Because on Friday, we are going to start data science. And by the way, one thing you should notice is that my approaches are different. My approaches when it comes now to the actual work, especially data science and web development, it's going to be from an industry level. Because me, that's the field I'm in. So I don't expect you to, that's why I tactically pick out some key areas that I'm interested in that I think would benefit you, especially when creating modules. Those are the things that I'm going to be very interested in, especially in machine learning. In data science, I'm so much more interested in how you're going to do your visualization, overfitting the data set, all those basic data, statistical data analysis key concepts are the one I'm interested in. Okay. Any other person? Please, let's give a chance. Let's get from the ladies. The ladies speaking is always good in my class because you never know where it will take you. From my honest point of view, you better. Okay. So some people who have attended lectures today, they really want what? The link for registration. Let me give you the link. Any other person? People are not talking. Guys, what's up?
You're still writing code.
Okay. The link for registration is in the chat. There's Alvin. I don't know if Alvin is going. Maybe.
Morning.
Good morning.
Hope my screen is kind of visible.
Yeah, now it is visible. What is this guy called? Laben. Laben,
Loben.
listen. Luben, please. When you are renaming your files, I don't want to see those things like day7 dot. Put it with your name. Remember, on Friday, that's what I want to explain to you. I'm going to show you how you should organize your work in the GitHub. Because when I pull it on my computer, how will I know day7 is you? I don't want that laziness. I always share my screen and people see. I don't want that laziness. Day7, no, that nonsense should stop. Okay, applies to everyone.
Okay, sorry, doctor. I'm going to rectify that.
Okay.
Okay, maybe I guess there is less difference from what Hilal shared, but since no one was willing to do screen sharing, I just had to take issues personally, like to take the initiative, like maybe to display the arrogance of the code like that I have on my machine.
Okay.
So like I created like a Spark class like which is a vehicle and
Then I also want to remind you, it's not about just displaying. It's about how you will explain it, because people are listening, so they may understand. You may help them to understand. That's why I want people to what? To share and explain. You may not understand the way I explain, but you may understand the way is it Lauben or Luben explained, whatever. I'm not good at pronouncing people's names. Okay.
okay, like we have our Spark class which is vehicle and we like we create like a constructor which is in it and we instantiate like we assign like the attributes to our sparkless vehicle where we have the make model and yeah and every most methods under a class they normally take in like default attribute which is self, which is used to instantiate which is used to instantiate objects of a class. So from there, like we have initialized the our Spark class with those attributes. Then we also tasked to define like a function for displaying like for displaying like the vehicle info. So from there, I use my print format function, and I print out like the info of the about the vehicle, which takes in make, model, and year. Then down, we are supposed to illustrate like the concept of inheritance, where my class car is inheriting from vehicle, so it extends sparkless vehicle. Then uh, then it adds some additional attributes to the sparkless vehicle. Then we first like create a default method for initializing the class vehicle, which takes in vehicle details. In addition, it adds other special attribute which is doors. So like amidst like
Excuse me.
extending
Excuse me, Lobe.
Please
yeah.
listen to someone. Okay.
Okay, I have a question for the lecturer. So
Yes.
these derived classes, when they are inheriting from the base class, are they inheriting everything or they can choose what to inherit?
Are they inheriting everything or they can choose what to inherit? That's a good question. But I think for now it is inheriting everything, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. From my implementation, like the derived
But you
class is
can implement it also
inheriting
to inherit certain. Just
certain
guys,
attributes.
let us understand. Let us first finish our question. Uh, when you are inheriting properties from your parents, in this case, we have the two children. We have the children called. We have a child called car, and we have another child called motorcycle. But now, what they're inheriting is that when you look at what is being initialized, uh, is that the make, the year, and then so that means for now they're inheriting everything. But you can also define it separately so that it only inherits certain properties or attributes of this superclass or the base class or the derived class.
Okay. Okay, that is great attribution. So like okay, from even here, Madam Iron, like even from here, the way how I'm defining like inheritance from the sparklers here when initializing the attributes of the derived class that are being inherited from superclass. You can even try to limit to specific attributes that are passed on to children by limiting like the number, by limiting like the specific attributes you want to pass on onto the derived class. So in addition to the vehicle class inheriting make, model, and year, it also adds its own attribute or property, which is doors, which have basically like included under class vehicle, under like the default constructor, which is in it. Then you are also tasked to display like the info about the vehicle. Then I call the super method from the super class, like that displays the original info of the super class, which includes make, model, and year. Then I also include like a print function that prints like the special attribute that is added by what by the derived class, like by the subclass car. And that attribute is all about doors. So from here, I've just added an extra print function for printing number of doors. Then we also have another child class, which is motorcycle, which is also extending the vehicle superclass. Then, in addition to superclass attributes, which are make, model, and year, it also like adds its special property or attribute, which is bike type. So I also initialize uh, I also initialize like the child class motorcycle with the attributes from the super class, and I use the super method to like to initialize the base class attributes. Then also include like the special attribute being added by motorcycle, which is bike type, uh, which takes in from the bike type. It can be a cruiser, it can be a sport or touring. So also I also display the info about the motorcycle. In addition, like using the default attributes, like the default method from the Spark class, which is vehicle, I also add an extra print function for printing the bike type. Then from there, I create my method that will help me to display the vehicle, like the display, like okay, I create a method for displaying like the vehicle list, and it takes in like the vehicle list as the argument. Then I use a for loop like to loop into my vehicle list. Then from there, uh, I try to display the information like from the vehicle list. Then here I create my script, which is main, which helps me like to run my code efficiently. And from there I create an object of a car, and my car object is taking in attributes of Toyota, which is make, then Camry, which is model, then year, and also like the number of doors, which is 4. Also create an object, which is a motorcycle, and here it is. Its make is Honda, then model it is CBR, then year it is 2021, and then the bike type is cruiser. Then from there, like I initialize my vehicle list with okay, I create a list, and it takes in like my objects, which is like car, which is the car object, and a motorcycle object. Then I use the display vehicle information method now to display my list. So if I expand my terminal down, and I clear my screen, sure, if I run, yeah, automatically like it will print everything like the way how we are entitled to, like to how we are where we are just like to complete the exercise. So you can see everything is what is working out right. Okay,
Okay,
that's all I had.
thank you so much. For those of you, we are now on the next hour, which is between 10 to 11. And I want to complete something which I don't want it to reach Friday. Just excuse me for today, because it seems Livingstone is ahead of me. He's moving faster, and I don't want to also overemphasize on this foundations of Pythons. So that's cool enough. We're now going to shift our energy. Please, you could mute. I don't know if you have multiple devices. I'm just helping by muting. Okay, after speaking, I think it's important to mute. Okay, the number is usually 30 to... Are you able to see my screen? Yeah?
Yes, yes.
Okay, someone should mute.
No,
I don't
even
know.
when I type, it doesn't.
Well, someone is speaking. Let's listen to that person's cry. I'm really failing to understand what that person is saying. How could we help you? Vanessa. Oh, you're done talking. Okay. Okay, perfect. So we are now going to deal with working with, yeah, I think that is it. Working with, is it called working, or we basically go up here and pick it? Terms. Okay. Okay. Okay, so we're going to basically look at now reading and writing files in Python. Of course, now when you start looking at reading and writing files, this is always like a nice welcome and saying, welcome to data science. So we are actually shifting from laying the foundation of Python programming to actually beginning now to use Python in the field of data science, where I'll do a little bit of automation. Those are the things I love doing, creating modules in machine learning. Yeah. And then now web development with Django. So that's going to be our key concept. So on Friday, we will start data science, but next week we will start machine learning. So this is just a basic foundation for you. Of course, I know Livingstone has already introduced pandas. Is that okay? And me, I was supposed to look at NumPy, but we'll do that on Friday. I wanted to be sure that I'm moving logically and you're understanding me and you're following me. Okay. So now, we are now on reading and writing files in Python. Now, most of you, if you may ask yourself, it's very common that when working with text file, you need to learn how to open the file, read the file, write, and close. Now, you're interested in what? Open the file, reading it, and then what? Write and close the file. Most of the time, just look at it like you're using a Microsoft Word document. You can open, read it, write, and close. That is how you can work with text file in most cases. Now, I want you also to understand that Python provides inbuilt function to handle text files. Please note this. Note that what? Python provides inbuilt functions to handle text files. Now, the primary functions used for this purpose are mainly for the read, open, write, and close. And of course, I always want you to know that all this read, open, you can use them as methods. Is that okay? So let's look at it in terms of the key concept. I'm not going to go too deep because we're going to implement this in our everyday life. Okay, so the key concepts are very simple. If you can master them, then we can always apply them whenever we are dealing with what? With this. We look at one example and then an exercise, and then we call it off. Because we're not going to look at everything. I'll try to look at the CSV, and we also try to look at, I sent you, okay, just to remind you, I sent you a data set in the chat. Are you able to download it for soil data? As you're struggling to download, you can now go ahead and talk about opening file. Now for open file, we will always use the open function. Don't want to write a lot. Then of course, within the open function, we have what we call the various modes, which we will look at it. Then for reading file, we have what we call the read, and then for writing, we have what we call the write, and then for closing, what we call the close function. Now, there are so many ways how we can refer to this. Like, how do we refer to the read, write, all those? In most cases, we can represent them, especially when reading and writing files, you can represent them with the R, W for write, A, read, write, A, and R. We'll look at them. I hope I've not over repeated. It is R, W, a R plus. I'll show you what some of those mods, how they're being implemented when dealing with what? With files in Python. Just give me a second. I want to take water. Okay. So the main thing here is that when you look at opening a file, the open function is used to open a file in various mode, like in terms of R, W, A, and R plus, and more. And then you could also have the reading, the read function, which is basically to read a line or read lines in a data. Then the write file is basically used to write data. Writing means you put some data there. And then the closing of a file means you automatically handling, you're trying to handle how these files can be closed, okay? So let's try to have some small bit of writing to a file. And then I will explain to you each and everything that we are going to go with. Now let's start with example 3 or example, yeah, I think example 3. Now, basically, we're just interested in what? Write a file, write a file and read a file. Now to write a file and read a file, we will start with writing a file. And of course, this is just going to be like a demonstration, okay? So we can say with open, and then we can say, so we are using the open function. With open, then we need to give the type of the file. Maybe it could be jeff.txt, okay? So we're trying to write a file. So the W here is for write a file. You could put it as F or as file. That F basically stands for file. Now, what you need to do, we need to write some file. And then you can say file dot write. You can say LOL or hello. I basically, like, I am Jeff and I love Python. Okay. Now, the reason why I use the backward slash and n, because I want the other part of the file that I'm going to write to be in the next line. So I can also have another file write. I am Jeff. I am okay. Could just shorten it a bit. I am comes funny. Hey. avoid that. Avoid that. Okay. I wanted to put the apostrophe in between, but it was changing everything. So I am Jeff Joff, and I love Python. Then I use Python for automation. Okay. This time I don't need anything. I just need to write only like 2 things in the file. Okay. Now, reading file. Now, I've demonstrated how this is how to what? This is how to writing to a text file. We are writing basically to a text file. When you look at jeff.txt, is a text file. Now, we want to go and use the second approach, which is reading. So in most cases, also commenting is good. Here we can say writing to a text file, so that you know that this is how you implement writing to a text file. Then the next part is now reading from a text file. Now, if you want to read from a text file, what we are going to do, we are going to say with open Jeff as file. Then what do we want? We want content. We are going to create a variable content. Could even be any, don't be static. Could be, yeah, but I'm interested in the content. Could be content, could be detail. But let me put content. We want to see the content. So content read, and then you get the output of print. Print what? Print content. Now, if I don't have so many things in my terminal, I expect here with a simple explanation of what I'm going to do. So here what we have is that with open jeff.txt, basically this line of code, what it does, it opens the file in the write mode. Okay. So the W is for the write mode. Remember, I put them here, W, R, A, okay? Now, then the file write, okay? With this method write, it basically writes data to the file. Now, then with open this file, with R, opens the file in the read mode. This one opens the file in the read mode. This one opens the file in the write mode. So let's just save it. So you could now see it has written something in our file. I am Jeff Jove. I love Python. I use Python for automation. As simple as that. Don't bring a lot of confusion here. This is how we deal with read and write files. Now I want us to go to handling CSV files. Okay. Now for handling CSV files, it's going to be a little bit in a different way. So I really don't know how best we can try to implement this, but let's deal with handling CSV files. The other one, first leave it. We'll look at it later. So we now looked at working with files. Now we need to look at handling CSV files. Okay, I hope you're following. Handling CSV files. Now, everybody, if you want to work with a very good data that is not manipulated. What is CSV in full? What do you know about CSV?
Comma separated values.
So CSV, we need to put it in double quotes, triple in multi-line comments. So now here, what we need to know is that CSV, it's what? Comma, separated values. Okay. Why is it so important, especially when working with files? Why is it important? By the way, do you understand that these days when you're dealing with database files, Excel is the most recommended way of using a database file because of how it is organized. Okay, so what is the benefit of using the CSV file? One benefit of using the, so because CSV file is being used widely, I'll tell you the benefit widely for data exchange. So you use it basically if you want to exchange your data. Now the benefit of using CSV file is that you can read the file, but you cannot write on the file. You can read the file, but you cannot write on the file. That means it helps in protecting the integrity of the data. Like I've sent you the data set, right? Once you try to change the integrity, modifying the data, CSV has that protection. Then a .xls, an Excel file, someone can easily manipulate it. Is that okay? So let's look at the key concept. Key concept. Key concepts. Now, the key concepts that we have is the reading CSV file. Now, how do you read CSV file? Yeah, using what? You use CSV dot reader. Okay, so that's how you read a CSV file. Now, writing, write, we could call it writing, could call it reading. Are you taking notes on your end? Because this will help you a lot in future. And it's also good to monitor whether you have been attentive. So you could also have the dictionary reader and the dictionary writer. Of course, basically, the class here, read and write files as dictionaries. Now, that is all you need to understand in handling CSV. You know what CSV is, comma separated value. And you can read it, you can write it. Now, I want us to try with example 4. Is it example 4? I'm not good at those example over example 5 or 4. You will let me know. Now, what we are interested in, we are now interested in what? In reading a CSV file. Okay? Reading CSV files and then writing CSV files. The other one was reading. Basically, we can have We can have both. We can have actually writing and reading CSV files. Now, if you're going to write a CSV file, it is always important we need to import what we call the library for the CSV. And in most cases, you use import CSV, okay? Now the import CSV will import the libraries of the CSV. Now, let's basically look at it in this way. We're basically going to write some bit of files in terms of age, not age. We're going to write some bit, we are going to write some files. Now, let's write files here. Let's write writing CSV file. Okay, writing, let's say writing to a CSV file. CSV. Okay, writing to a CSV file. So how do you write? You're quite familiar from the first example. I said, if you want to write, you say with open, okay? But this time around, your file is going to be what? A .txt. Now, let us see how we can write that. I already have a file called jeffjof. I don't want to have, I can still have the same file because what's going to be the difference? Let me actually make your life interesting. With open now, and I want to have it like jeff.csv. Then we will have W for write, and then in a new line, there's something I'm interested in. Let it be empty as CSV. Can we have it as one? Okay. Okay. I like my students to be a little bit, hopefully we be very keen. Now, this first line of code that I've written is basically to help us write to a CSV file. And since we are going to write to a CSV file, you're going to create a list. Remember, we can use a dictionary. That one, we are going to do it a little bit. Maybe I'll give you an example where you do that. But let me try to explain it to you so that we can. But here we're basically going to use what? We're going to write using a list. Now, here what we are going to be interested in, we are going to write just like the way we did here, okay? Here we were writing, but we were using what? The write method. Now, but this time round, we are going to first create a variable that helps us write to a CSV file. So we are going to create a variable which is going to be writer, perfect, writer to write.csv. Then now we can go ahead and start writing, and we say writer write row, writer write row. So we want to write the row, and it is going to be in list. So the list is going to be what? Okay, let's have the list. The list can be name. We need to make sure that it is in. Okay, you could name, no problem. I have no offense with that. Name. Okay, position. And then I think name position. Okay, that should be able to work for us. Now let's try to write some row. The name now we can have Jeff, Geoff. Position lecturer. Course is BSE. Okay. Yeah. Then we can pick any name from the group here. Let me see. Class rep has refused to talk. Let me disturb her. What's her name? Is she even there? Okay, I've seen her. Okay, I have Elsa Nancha. Perfect. Student. BSE. Okay. So, and maybe we add one more person who has spoken today in memory of Loben. No, I think Seren George was okay today. I like his presentation today. But also these Buganda names like confusing. Why do you use double S? Can one S work? Why do you have to pronounce S twice? Okay. Okay. And could solve this by doing this. Okay. Now, then the other part of it is to be now to read. Read from a CSV. Read from a CSV file. Now we have the CSV file now there. Now we need to read. So if you're going to read, what do we say here? With open, use the arrow, but this was a file. So that means this time around we can say with open and then say, what was the file? It was jeff.csv. Okay. And read as what? CSV file. Then we can now create a variable for reader, read the CSV file that takes in the method reader and pass in the parameter. So now what we are interested in, we want to read the rows which are there. We want to read what is in the, okay, basically we want to print the rows. So what we can do, for it will iterate when you use the for loop. For row in reader, now what do we want? We want it to return for us what? We want it to return raw. Okay. With all this, if we go and run this in the terminal, you can see that it is trying to give us the output of what is in the raw. And that is how you read a CSV file. Yeah, our time is not bad and we are also moving somehow very well. Now I want us to summarize it with the last bit of it, which is going to be what? The XML, and then, yeah, we need to finish up this. I don't want to leave anything undone. I'm sorry. Today I've not given you a lot of exercises because what we seems to cover seems to be, I've even missed one concept here, abstraction and interfaces. But okay, you can now, that would be your exercise. I'll give you an exercise to do in abstraction. But for now, let me focus and complete this so that we can start our data science on Friday. Already, okay, it's here. Okay. Okay. So now we can have our, briefly, just to understand. Forgive me, I didn't intend to make you stay longer today, but situations. Okay, so what is JSON? Yes, what is JSON in full? What is JSON in full and what is XML in full? I'm asking you, at least this is the time you can talk, eh? If you've been too quiet. Jean, Jim,
JavaScript
Musmed.
object notation.
Okay, so JSON is what we call JavaScript object notation. And what about XML? XML?
Extendable markup language.
Extensible. Okay, extensible. And how they write it extensible markup language. Avoid just pressing tab 9. Good see. Now, these two, file processing, are formats used for data structures. Format used for data structures. Okay. Now, a format used for data structure. Okay. I used to structure data. When you misuse the words, are going to be very, very bad. There's a difference between structured data and data structure. Do you know there's a very big difference between data structure and structured data? And actually also the grammar. When you use for, this tab 9 can bring me problems. Use. I use. Our formats, actually, they're not used. Our formats use to structure data. Now the grammar is okay. Our format used to structure data. Now, and one thing you should know is that Python provides libraries like JSON, XML, and elementary to help in handling some of these files. Now, there are so many key concepts that we deal with when handling JSON or let's look at the key concepts. Now, these key concepts are like loading, JSON, data, which you can use using JSON load, okay, for reading a JSON file. Now, we also have another keyword which is called dumping JSON data, which using JSON dump for writing JSON file. And then we use parsing, and then in most cases, there's a very big difference here. People get confused. Parsing and loading. This one carries the letter S for parsing. Or not even, let me not use the word parsing. It's not good for explanation. For handling what? Handling JSON, not even. It's basically for handling JSON strings. Okay, so these are the key solid concepts that you need to follow when dealing with what? When dealing with JSON and file processing. So let's try to write files faster. Example 6. Write and read JSON file. Now, for us to write and read JSON file, we need first to import the library JSON, and then we also need to write writing to a JSON file, and then we also can now go ahead and say you could call it, let's call it student data, and then we could create a dictionary for the student data. So for the student data, we can have name, and maybe this time we will deal with only one student. Let's say we are dealing with Ahabwe, and then we can look at this course, BSE, and then we can look at the year. You are in year what? Year 3 or year 2? Okay. So you might terminate the last one or you might not. Now, this is how you have a data, a student data. Now you're going to go ahead and open this file. Oh, let's not call it JSON file. Let's just open the file. Okay, so for you to open the file, what do you normally do to open? We know with open, this time around, what we are interested in is the file is a student file, so we need to put it in quotes. With open student data.json, and then we can use the write. You now know what the write is for, and you can also have it as what? A JSON file. So now, what did I say about the key concept? You use load for reading. So that means you're going to come back here and say JSON dump. Yeah. Now, this is how you go ahead in, when I use the dump, basically, I am referring to writing JSON file. Now I'm going to read the JSON file. Reading, I'm going to use what? Load. Is that okay? So let's read the JSON file. So reading JSON file. Now I'm going to say wait, open. Okay. Student dot JSON file. I'm using tab 9, so that's why I'm a little bit careful, because I'm trying to automate my writing. So here I'm going to have student data dot load JSON file. And then now, if I want to get the output of that file, I can just go ahead and say what? Please make sure you print it in that same line. Okay. All right. So if I go ahead and so you can see name, Ahabwe, and this is exactly how you read a JSON file. Now, the other bit of it which I need to talk about is the XML. But I think for the XML can be your exercise. I want to give you 2 exercises. It's already 11:03. Me, I normally don't cheat on my time. I'm sorry today I teach you up to the brim. I normally don't prefer doing it because you keep piling and people don't understand the concept, but you have understood. I'll put all the recordings up, share with you the link. You can go and revisit them. Exercise, you're going to have 2 exercises. Exercise, you did 1, so this is the second exercise, okay, which is very simple. Basically what you're going to do, I'm not going to restrict you. Create, write and read XML file. Write and read XML file. That is yours. Then the next one is on exercise 3 is on abstraction. For abstraction, I need to make it. I need to make it very. Let me see how I can make it. Okay. This is specific. Using abstraction. Using abstraction. Calculate the area and perimeter of a rectangle. Okay. Okay, that is it. And thank you for following, and thank you for reaching up this level. At least we have managed to complete all the things. On Friday, data science. So I can stop recording so that the recording shouldn't go long.